Pokemon is officially suing Palworld, and this is about to get really exciting.
Wow, how did this show stay so fresh?
What's up guys, Mike here. Subscribe to my channel for more pop culture content. Let's get into it. Oh boy, I had not heard about this for a while, but I was thinking recently, whatever happened to Palworld? If you were not familiar, Palworld popped up like a year ago as this third-person shooter monster hunting style game. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere on Steam and got really popular very quickly. The only problem with this was it was eerily similar in monster design, I guess you could say, to a little known franchise that you may or may not have heard of. It's Pokemon.
Pokemon was the pokey and the man and the thing was the guy.
And even though the game was like supposed to be very good, I actually never played it, but like it was supposed to be good and people like genuinely seemed to enjoy playing it. From the very beginning, it was very clear to everyone that a lot of the monster design, I think they're called the Pals in Palworld, were almost exact knockoffs of Pokemon.
Ketchup.
It was actually almost confirmed that AI was used to like scan all the Pokemon and just sort of redesign them a bit to look a little bit different. And personally, I think there is no doubt that these are just AI Pokemon ripoffs. Like literally look at Grisbolt and Electabuzz. Fenglope is just Cobalion. Lamble is literally just Wooloo. And in what is probably the most telling of all of them, you have Anubis that is just Egyptian Lucario. I think there are a few issues at play here, but overall I think that Palworld has done the wrong thing. I think a lot of people have drawn comparisons to like other monster collecting media, which is a like viable and popular genre. Like not just Pokemon owns this space. There are competitors, I guess, doing a similar thing. Possibly most prominently is Digimon, which was often compared to Pokemon back in the day. You also have stuff like Monster Rancher, Monster Sanctuary, Temtem, Yokai Watch, even like Neopets, and to a lesser extent like Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's time to do.
The difference is, even though at a core all of these things are monster collecting, they don't rip off Pokemon in the same way. And a good example of this is just looking at the ways that the different properties represent different like things. Like the first thing that comes to mind is like the animal, a tapir. Like Digimon does this with Tapirmon, and Pokemon does it with like Mana, Musharna, even to a lesser extent Drowsy. Even though all of these things are based on the same base animal, conceptually they are all very different. And then look at the Palworld example of Anubis and Lucario. I mean, that's just undisputably the exact same head copied and pasted. I think it's undeniable.
I'm seeing double here. 4 Krusties.
And so even though you can argue that like monsters designed on the same core thing could feasibly look similar, I think this is a little bit too extreme in that direction. It is interesting to see Nintendo and Pokemon go up against this business. I mean, I assume whoever developed Palworld is a much smaller company than Nintendo and Pokemon combined. It is highly unlikely that they will be able to win any lawsuit, especially when the evidence is so glaring. And I gotta say, I think I take Nintendo's side in this. Like, I don't have a problem with someone creating a monster-style game, or even a game where you are like alluding to Pokemon. But I think when it comes to blatantly copying designs through AI, you're definitely overstepping a mark. Like, there's a difference between being inspired by and just plagiarizing. Also, the fact that Palworld is a shooter and Pokemon generally tries to stay away from a lot of that violence, especially like real world gun violence, is probably a little bit damaging to their brand. I really think they're well within their rights to complain about a lot of this. On the other hand, I do think what Palworld created was something really unique and creative. And I think the fact that people swarm to it so quickly suggests that there is a yearning amongst gamers for games like this. And then it's sort of up to Nintendo and Pokemon to decide whether or not they want to make these games. But if there is a demand there for something, the supply will come. And I think that's what Pokemon kind of needs to get on the front foot with. I haven't really played any of the mainline Pokemon games over the last 5 years. I'm pretty sure the last ones I played were X and Y, and then I played a bit of Legends Arceus. And I'm not suggesting that Pokemon needs to make a third-person shooter to rival Palworld, but just to be a little bit more creative with what they do. At the moment, I think Pokemon can afford to play it really safe. They make a lot of money regardless of the quality of what they put out. And sometimes we forget this, but at the end of the day, they are a business. They are there to take your money, not to necessarily do what you want them to do.
Money, 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 money.
It will be very interesting to see how all of this plays out legally. Obviously, I'm not a legal expert, but I am really, really intrigued to follow the case of Pokemon versus Palworld. Thank you so much for watching, guys. What do you think of the Pokemon versus Palworld drama? Let me know down in the comments. Do you think Pokemon's right? Do you think Palworld's right? Like, who is in the right here? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. Well, maybe there is, and that's what the whole point of the court case is. But anyway, you can follow my pop culture content here on my channel. Hit the subscribe button. You can also support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Radio Mike to help keep the lights running here at Radio Mike Productions. And as well as that, you can check out a bunch of my other content, all of which is listed in the description to this video. That is pretty much it from me today. My name has been Radio Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind, and I will catch you later.